At the beginning of the movie, we see a girl named Jane, who has washed ashore on a beach. Her friend is lying beside her, but due to being in worse condition, the friend dies shortly after. Jane is deeply distressed by this. After a while, she begins to explore the island. However, she quickly realizes that there are no people here. That means Jane is stranded. Anyway, Jane ventures further into the island and finds a bag. Inside, there are some supplies and a bottle of medicine. The bottle has a date written on it, 1996. This suggests that someone may have lived here a long time ago. Among the items, Jane finds a matchstick, something that could come in handy. So, she keeps it with her. Later, she reaches the edge of the sea and notices a broken tree trunk. Jane plans to use it as a shelter in case of danger at night. Before long, night falls. Jane somehow makes it through the night. The next morning, she sees some fish washed ashore, along with a badly injured shark. This surprises her. But without wasting time, she collects the fish for breakfast. Just then, her eyes catch something unusual. A place where there were human graves. Since her friend's body was beginning to decompose, she decides to bury it there. However, when she returns the next day, she sees that her friend's corpse has been dug up and eaten. This terrifies Jane. She has no idea what could have done this. But one thing becomes clear. There's a horrifying creature on this island. Thinking of her own safety, she crafts a weapon. And then, she waits for whatever that creature is. As the night comes again, Jane slowly drifts off to sleep. The next morning, Jane sees a suitcase floating in the sea. Thinking it might contain something useful, she heads into the water to retrieve it. But as she dives underwater, she notices a large hole below. The sight of it frightens her, and she quickly comes back to the surface. Opening the suitcase, she finds a shoe and a piece of clothing, but nothing important. She throws them away. At night, Jane examines those items again. Among them, she finds some photographs. Looking at the photos, Jane realizes that a couple may have once visited the island. Right at that moment, a plane flies overhead. Hoping to signal for help, Jane fires a flare gun into the sky. But it's too late. The plane had already gone too far. However, as the flare light falls to the ground, Jane catches a glimpse of a strange creature's shadow. Terrified, she runs and hides deeper inside the island. The creature starts searching for her, but fortunately, it fails to find her. The next morning, Jane takes a closer look at the photos of the couple. That's when she notices something chilling, a pair of glowing eyes in the background of one of the pictures. That means, this was the same creature, and it may have killed the couple. Jane is even more horrified now. So, she decides, no matter what, she must leave the island. She packs a life jacket into the suitcase, hoping to use it to float across the sea. But when she tries to ride the suitcase and float away, it breaks apart. Her plan fails, and Jane returns to the island. But she knows she has to do something to survive the creature. She decides, the hollow part of the tree trunk might be a good hiding place. According to her plan, she chooses to spend the night inside the hollow tree. At night, the creature returns to the island. And this time, it senses that Jane is hiding inside the tree. It tries to pull her out, but it fails. The next morning, Jane comes out of the hollow tree and sees that the creature has badly damaged much of the tree. So, for her own safety, she comes up with a new plan, to catch fish from the sea and hang them from a tree, hoping the creature will eat the fish and leave her alone. The next morning, Jane sees that her plan worked. The creature ate the fish, and as a result, she was safe the previous night. At that moment, she notices something at the shoreline. A dead body has washed up on the beach. Jane drags it and hangs it on a tree, hoping the creature will eat that body instead of coming after her. Surviving on this island is becoming more and more difficult for Jane. That night, Jane digs a hole and hides inside. As darkness falls, she can sense that the creature is nearby. For the first time, Jane sees the creature with her own eyes, and she is petrified. It is horrifying. The creature goes straight to the hanging body and devours it. Jane does her best to remain calm, and somehow survives yet another terrifying night. The next day, Jane decides to build a secure shelter for herself. Now that she has seen the height of the creature, she constructs a high shelter in the trees, one tall enough that the creature can't reach her. When night falls, Jane climbs into her elevated shelter and lies down. But shortly after, the creature returns. It senses where Jane is hiding, and starts shaking the tree violently. Jane's shelter collapses, and she falls to the ground. The creature immediately tries to catch her, but Jane starts running for her life. Even so, the creature is so fast, it gets ahead of her and blocks her path. Just then, Jane plunges the sharp weapon she had made straight into the creature's stomach. The creature is wounded and, letting out a terrible roar, it flees into the darkness, leaving Jane behind. The next morning, it's clear that Jane's leg is badly injured. So, she heads to the beach to clean up. That's when she notices a raft floating in the distance. On it are two of her friends. They've survived all this time and somehow made it here. The boy's name is Lucas, and the girl's name is Mia. Jane is overjoyed to see them. She gives them some fish to eat and tells them about the horrifying creature on the island. But they refuse to believe her. Instead, they say, "We've survived in the sea for the last 5 days. We finally found land. We can't just leave now." Jane then shows them the photo, the one with the creature's glowing eyes in the background. But even that doesn't convince them. Jane realizes they're stubborn in their decision. So, she decides to leave alone using the raft. As Jane prepares to set off, they suddenly stop her. Mia strikes Jane on the head, knocking her unconscious. When Jane regains consciousness, she finds herself tied up. It's now nighttime, and she pleads with them to untie her. But Lucas and Mia ignore her completely. Eventually, Mia wanders off into the island, leaving Lucas behind. While exploring the island, the creature suddenly attacks Mia. Hearing her scream, Lucas rushes to help, but by the time he gets there, the creature has dragged her into the water and killed her. Lucas is terrified. Even after morning comes, he refuses to climb down from a tree. Jane tells him, the creature only comes out at night. During the day, we're safe. Lucas finally listens. Then Jane says, "We need to get off this island as soon as possible. Otherwise, that creature will kill us too." Now, Lucas agrees with Jane. Together, they gather some fish and coconuts so that even if they drift at sea, they can survive by eating them. Lucas is still a bit nervous. Jane reassures him, the creature only comes out at night. We'll be far away before that happens, so don't worry. Then, Jane climbs onto the raft. That's when she notices stains of blood, and realizes that, in order to survive the last 5 days at sea, they might have eaten human flesh. Regardless, just as Lucas starts paddling the raft away, the creature appears again. In fear, they cover the raft from all sides with cloth and wood. But even that doesn't stop the creature. It jumps onto the raft and attacks. Lucas, in a desperate attempt, fires the last flare gun to scare it away. But it doesn't work. The creature grabs Jane and drags her away. Jane, fighting for her life, uses a knife she had with her to stab the creature repeatedly. Just then, Lucas rushes in and tries to save her. The creature lets go of Jane and grabs Lucas instead, then drags him into that horrifying pit. Jane has no choice left. She returns to the shore, but now she knows, Lucas sacrificed himself just to save her life. So Jane makes a decision. She will end this creature once and for all. She sharpens nearby sticks into deadly weapons, even fashions blades from human bones. Then, she prepares a trap, to burn the creature alive. That night, just as expected, the creature shows up again. Jane immediately sets the fire ablaze. The creature gets trapped in the flames. Right then, Jane charges with her sharp weapons from all sides. At one point, the creature manages to catch her. Jane tries to escape, but the creature blocks her path. But this time, the creature is badly wounded, its body torn and bleeding. Finally, the beast collapses unconscious. Taking her chance, Jane strikes with all her strength. And in one final blow, she slits the creature's throat. In the end, the fire Jane had lit spreads across the entire island. Which means, someone, somewhere, is bound to notice the smoke, and rescue her. And with that, today's story comes to an end. Friends, how did you like the final moments of this movie? Don't forget to let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and stay with us for more.